on the last step.
I'm like disappointed we won't.
All right, we are back. So sorry.
Thank you.
Sarah wouldn't stop talking. She kept going. We gotta leave. We're gonna leave. Sarah's like, no, I want to talk more.
I have a lot to say, Jim.
So actions result in non-public. The board accept the nomination of Savannah Bergstrom for the food service worker.
Jenna, I'm sending you all that.
Yes, thank you.
Tammy Flanagan, Jamie Buck, and Holly Crockett as mentors for our new teaching staff or salaried staff. The board also approved the administration to maintain the listing for the special ed teacher, but also to find some other creative solutions to fill that position. And if it does become contracted service, to make sure to reach out to the association and make sure that they're okay with that as well. The board also directed the superintendent to reach out to Governor Wentworth School District and Molten Borough about school choice contracts or memorandum of understanding or agreements. Moving on. Approval of the agenda. I will take a motion to approve the agenda. Motion by Sarah, second by Ed. Any other discussion? Any additions, deletions, or changes? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Carries. All right, approval of the minutes of the 9/9/24 school board meeting. Take a motion to approve. Motion by Sherry, second by Sarah. Any discussions, additions, deletions, changes? Comments? Very good job, Janet. I know you're 2 months, 3 months in, you're doing a good job. Thank you.
We on the consent agenda? Is that what you just said?
Nope, not yet.
Okay.
So, all in favor of minutes? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Carries. Acceptance of the consent agenda. Did you have something to pull out of there, or?
No, I apparently just didn't change the last cell on the capital reserve fund balances, so the total of everything is not right.
Oh, no.
It should be 363,698.90.
A couple of comments.
Yes.
Consent agenda.
Sure.
On the high school has gone from 726 to 665 students in 2 years.
That's
To what number?
Yeah.
665, which is like 10%
Wow.
in 2 years, which is an alarming number of students. I just wanted to point
That's
that out.
total overall.
Yeah.
Valley population has gone down, and or.
That's
people-
170 kids in the class. That's not
Wow.
much. Just as something that
Yeah.
stuck out big time to me. Like,
Yeah.
and can I make a request to get the capital improvement plan at something slightly larger than an eye chart?
Yes.
you can.
Yeah.
You can ask that anytime you want. I'll
I
print
can-
it for you.
Can I have one in 11 by 17?
Yes.
Just because it also.
Before you leave, yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
We are all getting a little older,
Well,
aren't we?
can you read that?
I don't know
got
how
pretty
many
good
people,
eyes, but it's-
I
I got
don't
a
know how many people
magnifying glass
look
in my
at
phone
it in
and glasses.
detail month to month, so
It
yes.
definitely does.
I definitely have that.
Yes.
And I do everything digital, so I
Yeah.
don't even look
Yeah.
at it.
Yeah, no, I do too. It's just tiny.
But it is.
He's like,
Couple of things with the CIP. We did meet, Heather, Mike, myself, Heather, and Sharon Schilling from the town's budget committee to go over it. She's kind of the representative, and we asked for it this year because they'd always said we never have input. So Sharon was great. She came. We had a lot of good discussions. One of the things we did talk about was halfway down through was the generator, which would be for this side of the building, rather than trying to run cabling all the way down like we've talked about in the past to link the two. Sharon got Joe Dame involved. Joe is another budget committee member who is very good with grants and finding grant funding. I'd say within 2 days, we had an email thread going. Joe's already looking at possible grants that will cover most of the cost of a generator
pretty
for this,
amazing.
based on emergency management, because this is the emergency shelter for the town.
Right.
And while there's a generator for that side, all of your communication systems run off of this side, so therefore it is an issue. So they're helping us and working on that. So,
That's great.
and the thought would be to possibly remove the generator from the CIP because then it would become a to replace later, right?
We'll leave it on as a replacement
Right,
out
but
30
it go
years or
pushed
so.
out long
I don't know
enough.
if 30 years is too long, but
Yeah.
it's a working copy.
Expectancy.
Okay.
So that's just a little
Joe's
FYI.
good. He's a nice guy, yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Can
Anything
I-
else on the consent agenda?
Yes, so you had also asked for, somebody had asked for the middle school to break that apart, especially now that they have sixth grade, that's
Right.
confusing.
Yeah,
That
the
number,
numbers.
you know, it's hard to tell the difference even between 6, 7, and 8,
Mhm.
that 309,
All they
Yeah.
have?
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's
all
just
they
one,
have.
one big number
So 309 is the number.
Total.
of total, but that's 6, 7, and 8 now.
I just looked at 2019, they
100.
had 287.
This is correct. This is the total number of kids.
Yeah, but a breakdown of
6, 7, and 8.
6, 7, 8
Yeah.
would be
Right.
nice to know. Because that should affect our, which just leads to my
It depends how the
financial brain
contract is
to.
written.
Right.
I believe it's 7th and 8th, because I think we looked at that before, specifically.
Right,
Our
but if the
contract does
building's
say
being
7th and 8th.
used for
Other things.
6 as well, then we should have some type of a reduction.
Some sort of relief.
Yes.
So it'd be interesting to know
Because we
what that
don't
number
send
is
our
gonna look like.
sixth graders there, so.
Yep,
Yep.
okay.
That makes sense to me.
All right, I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda with some discussion that we've had about it. Motion by Sarah, second by Ed. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye, carries. Thank you. Next regular school board meeting is the 4th of November. Holy cow.
Time is going by so fast.
Teacher workshop day is the 11th, so this Friday. Columbus Day is the 14th, so next Monday. No,
being
the
quiet.
legal name is in here, correct?
That's quiet.
Thank you.
I am being quiet.
He just bit me over here. The SAU 13 joint board meeting is October 28th, 6 PM, and that is in Madison. We'll probably meet in the gym for joint board. If you could make sure that that's set up for me, please. Thank you.
Gonna do a preschool visit that night too?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yep, we'll do a preschool visit that night first, so we'll meet there at 6, go down so that all of the joint board can see the preschool set up
Great.
and all that.
That's a nice idea.
Yeah, all the kids will be there and
Yeah.
be sleepy time. Public comment?
Oh, Janet.
Anyone in the public?
Janet.
She's
Oh, is that why that bull's there?
Yes.
Can I talk?
Oh,
Should I
yes.
move to that chair?
No.
Okay. So
sometimes
it's
fun to know what's
Apple Crunch Day on Wednesday, so I'm really hoping that after the meeting, you guys will do it.
Jeremy, do you have a problem with somebody at the table talking during public comment? Do we need to move them?
We're gonna do it after
No,
the
no, no,
meeting.
I have a
Listen
lovely
to
bowl
her.
of apples,
They're
so,
so fresh.
like different kinds.
Nice.
And I'm hoping we can reenact that photo that we got a few years ago after the meeting, if people will stick around and help me out here.
You know what would be even
course.
better than that? What if
What?
we do it during the meeting?
Okay, you ready?
Can you explain the different apples we have to choose from?
Well,
Yeah.
I can
love
explain why we have Apple Crunch Day. It
Okay,
is to
please
do, 'cause I don't
farm
know.
to school, farm to table.
They're just
I probably got that backwards. Anyways,
Janet,
so
is this part
it's,
of our
Fruit and
vegetable
veggie
and fruit grant?
well, this is what our state, has these contests with the, to take pictures of Apple Crunch Day.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're promoting farm to school.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's
But
why we're doing
eat
Apple
local.
Crunch Day. So, please, take an apple and don't eat it until I get my camera out.
Yes, ma'am.
That was the one I was
We can do it.
Jerry.
You better not, I'll tell you what.
I've got multiple of
If
different
what we'll do is we'll
kinds.
do it right at the end of the meeting before we adjourn.
Okay.
That way nobody's
Make sure
stuck
I'm-
with a mouthful
Make sure I'm
before
ready,
adjournment.
right?
Thank you, Janet.
I've got some lovely apples,
Green.
different varieties.
This is Granny Smith. This is a Granny Smith. See, I knew that.
You wanna trade?
God bless you.
Um,
Is that not one you like?
I'll if I can eat half of your. Is that a red delicious?
This is
Thank you.
Red Delicious.
See, look at
You
look
know
at
your
me. I know
apples.
my
You know
apples.
all business, my
Delicious,
friend.
Red Delicious, Max, and
Cortland?
Cortland, and maybe Braidwood.
Can I ask an apple
And
question?
green apple.
What's the yellow ones?
I don't know if I know the answer, but you can
All right.
ask.
What is the best apple for making cider?
I don't
kind
know
of
about
cider?
cider. I've never made cider, but if you want to make an apple pie,
Yes.
you want to use Max and other varieties of apples to get the best apple pie.
So more than one variety.
What
But,
kind of
you know,
cider are we talking here, Jim?
I can't talk about that. here.
Apple
Yes.
cider.
Adult cider.
Apple cider.
Hard cider. But
Okay. What kind of apples?
thank
do
you.
like to
Yes. So everybody, when is Apple Crunch Day? What is the
It is
date?
actually this Wednesday.
So
And
Same
Oh.
day as.
walk to school, yes. All the buses are gonna be meeting up at Brookfield.
The Health and Wellness Committee?
Yes,
Cool.
for the
Yeah.
health and wellness, and they're gonna talk about
I
Apple
won't
Crunch
forget to
Day a
go.
little bit while they're up there.
hand out apples to all the kids to crunch as they walk across.
Well, I wasn't planning that, but I am gonna do a variety of apples for their fresh fruit and vegetable that day. And as well as, I'm sure, like a apple salad for lunch. Yes.
So if anybody out there would like to also be included, please take a picture of yourself eating an apple with your coworkers, with your pets,
How many people are
however you
watching
do
right
it.
now?
Two. Everybody out there, flood Janet's email with pictures of people eating their apples.
Thousands of
Make sure
people
you're
watching.
published.
Tell your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers.
Anybody?
It's great. Everybody likes to get involved. I mean, I know Jeremy has done a good job of this.
I love it.
And we've seen the people on base with their apples every year. So please send it
Yes, with permission to publish.
All right.
with permission to publish. Janet has to look for the good stuff. And where do they send those pictures to?
To jcox@mes-nh.com.
Okay. Did you type that across the bottom of the screen so it's flashing? No, just kidding. All right.
Ticker tape.
This is really good.
All right. So that's it. There. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you for listening.
Like a remote.
No
Thank
problem.
you, Janet.
Any other comment? You good? All right. Principal's report.
I love you guys.
Data?
Yes, I
Love
do.
you more.
So, I'm gonna pass out, sorry this didn't make, we'll make sure this gets in the minutes, it did not make the packet in time, but what you have, if you take one and pass it down, make sure my
99
colleagues
bottles.
to my right get a
99.
copy as
Whoa,
well.
whoa.
Hopefully we have enough.
You settle
Color.
down.
Color code too.
It's like a $10 shoe.
So what you'll see here,
That's the
does
SU
everyone have one?
printed it, so you know it's on there now.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So what you'll see here is the spring SAS data that came out. That's our student achievement data. In the first chart, you'll see the math assessment proficiency over time. So this ranges all the way back to 2019 to 2024. If you follow those colors, that's cohort data. So rather than just looking at how grade 3 does every single year, you could follow a class. So when you see the orange in grade 3, you can see in 2022 when they're in grade 6 and kind of follow their trajectory on how that specific class grew or maybe not grew. So Heather and I have had a lot of conversations. Heather's done a really nice job utilizing data, starting to embrace data. I know she's not the biggest proponent of this test, but baby steps. So we are, first part of it is acknowledging, this information and, what questions does that bubble up as we're looking through this data and having good conversation about, is it instruction, is it curriculum, are there supports that we need to put in place? But I wanted to give the board a chance to look at this. But you can definitely see in that first column, where we are with math. On that far right column, you'll see just 2024, the state proficiency. So that's the percent proficient each grade level is. So this is showing percent proficiency. So
So the last column, I'm sorry, is the state.
and that can be compared to 2024. So those are apples to
Got it.
apples. The rest will show you the journey of those students over time. ELA is in the next column. On the flip side, it's the cohort data from the state. So this will show you how the state did as a cohort. So you can follow every single third grader in the state to every single eighth grader. This also has the 11th grade SAT.
So I do have
Yes.
2019
Yes.
third grader 52.
Yep.
Did they not
Correct.
go to fourth grade?
That was a COVID year. So there's
Okay,
no
okay.
assessment given.
2020. Scapped.
Oh, all right. Okay. Okay.
I just, it got confusing when you looked at it, so I called out COVID in that year when we did not take that exam in
Got it.
2020.
Okay.
And then on the bottom chart, you'll see the SAS aggregate ELA math assessment percent proficiency. The top row, you'll see how Madison did as an entire school. So that's our 3rd graders to our 6th graders. Okay, so that's the entire school how we did. And then the state, and then Madison math, and then the state math. Our participation rate, according to the DOE, which I don't know if I think how accurate that number is 95.5%.
It is
Wow.
accurate.
It is accurate.
95.5 or 99.5?
99.5.
See, these are good because I know it's often brought up about time budget season comes around that some people look at our children as test scores, and that's it.
Right.
And
This is, sorry, Jeremy.
yeah, no, I don't necessarily look at it that way, but a lot of times it's asked, like,
It
where
is,
are we at?
and I agree with you. I think we need to lean into it. It's not the whole picture of the student, but certainly is a portion of their school experience. And I really think looking at cohort data tells the whole story, because when you look at just one moment in time, how accurate is that? But this will show us a little bit. Again, it's not the comprehensive piece of the student, what they do every single day in the classroom.
Right.
How much they've gained as an individual. But this just tells us a little bit more to that story.
Well, I like to look at the student, so I'm looking at the front part of the page. Grade 3, 2022, I just grabbed the 44% number. And then you look, 2022, they went from 44% to 54 to 63, which is above the state average.
Mm-hmm.
What is the less than 10?
Less than 10 means that they were less than 10% proficient in
Okay.
that grade level.
So math, so it's showing us that we had some math issues happening.
Yes. And then the N is there was not a sample size large enough.
Okay.
So you'll see in grade 6 in 2021 in both math and ELA, to be statistically significant, you need to have a sample of 10 or more, and we did not meet that in those years.
Got it. And this is all students that take the test?
That's right.
Whether they are regular education, special education?
Yes.
Grades 3 through
encompassing-
6.
3 through 6, unless you take the DLM, which is a assessment if you have a significant learning disability.
Got it.
But if you
But-
take the test with accommodations or not modifications, excuse me, but if you take the test with accommodations, this will be here first.
But of these numbers, it's 99.5 is what?
For last year.
Oh,
This
okay.
is
Only
from
for last
yes.
Oh, okay, all right,
But
Last
before that, our
spring's assessment.
participation rates were not as high.
Okay.
Which skewed the rate because anything less than 95% was counted as a zero, not in the percentage.
So that's
Okay.
that's very impressive. I'm glad to hear from Heather that she feels that's an accurate number, because I know that's something we've really tried to
We
say.
had one exemption,
Take
and
the
that
test.
student actually wasn't exempt from all 3 tests.
Mm.
So,
That's
Okay.
fine. Yeah,
Good.
interesting.
Thank you.
So if there's any questions, happy to answer them, Heather and myself. And we're keeping on track of it. Every October, we like to make sure you see those assessment results, because that's when they're released.
Thank you.
if
and
there's
then also
questions,
look
we'll
in
be
your
happy to
annual
answer.
report, because that always has our benchmark data for our star and dibbles as well as this, and it does do it by cohort. So we do kids that have been at Madison for 3 years or more to track it that way, because it's hard when we have kids that come in and come out and how that might skew numbers. So we look at the kids that have been here for 3 years or more and how that education has impacted them and how they've progressed.
And-
So we put that in the annual report every year.
Thank you, Heather. And I would just say, as far as some bright spots, ELA, we met or surpassed the state in all grade levels, which is outstanding. And math, we have some work to do. So ELA was some bright spots, but math, we know we have some work to do. We also know that we had a new program come in a couple
Right,
years
This is
ago.
our 3rd year of illustrative math, and so we're not surprised to see a dip in math scores, because that typically is what happens when you implement something new, especially with math. Math is a harder one to implement because there's a lot of vocabulary changes or algorithm changes, and there's an expectation with this program, that there's more prerequisite skills that kids have at those grade levels, excuse me, that just weren't there. So, like, I'm teaching 6th grade math class this year, and I can see the benefit in year 3 of the stuff that the kids know that they didn't know those other 2 years. Like, oh, I used to have to teach this, and now I don't have to, because now they've had 2 years of the program under their belt. So I think this year's scores will start to see that rebound and continue to get back up.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
they
But-
say it's 4 years for implementing a program for it to be.
And then they'll just change
Solid.
it again on you? Is that
Hopefully,
how
I mean, they already
works?
have a new version of it, and but we're not looking to switch to that right now. We're sticking with what we have. It's still the same program, but it's supposed to be even better.
Right.
I don't know, but we're just sticking with what we have for right now to try to keep that consistency.
Oh, good.
And to your point, Heather, that those results are starting to show themselves in third grade. When you look at what's happening in 2024, we did surpass the state, and hopefully that trajectory will continue onwards from 4, 5, and 6. So we have some work to do, but again, this is going to showcase some questions we need to ask ourselves as leaders or teachers or administrators. So. Again, if there's questions after you have a chance to, there's a lot here, we're happy to answer them or, make our priorities where they need to go.
Perfect. Questions? Comments? Moving on to the Cliff Grant.
All right. So Cliff Grant, we celebrated with Marty Kelly last month, which was absolutely phenomenal. He was a great presenter and kids really loved it. This month we have Merrick Bennett, who is a graphic novelist, coming, and he's working with students in grades 3 through 6. He's got a 3-day residency that he'll work with them in their classrooms and in the art class, and they'll create their own mini versions of graphic novels. And at the end of the month, we will have a celebration with the Cliff Grant with Eric Pender, I believe is his name, who's a children's book author who will come and will celebrate the libraries. So through the Cliff Grant, both the school library and the public library are both given a collection of books. So we'll just celebrate and highlight the gift that they have received, and each of the librarians will talk about what they have and just how their libraries work. So we'll do some presentations there. And then their next book giveaway won't be until November.
Okay.
So there's a lot going on for the year of the book. Oh, and then we'll also go on an all-school field trip to Frog and Toad in October because it's the year of the book. And Frog and Toad is a play that is playing at Winnipesaukee Playhouse. So we are going as an entire school. We'll travel by houses and then watch the play.
Won't
And
travel by bus.
nope, they will
Just checking.
travel by houses. And then the 3 through 6 will come back right after lunch because of the buses needing to be at the middle school and high school, but K2 will be able to stay behind and get a behind-the-scenes look at the theater and visit with the actors before
What's
they
the
come
date on
back.
that, Heather?
October 22nd.
I just had a quick question. The Cliff Grant, is that federal or state? The Cliff Grant?
It's not. It's a local New Hampshire Vermont grant
Oh, okay.
that Tammy Flanagan and Diana Hayward had applied for, and so I think it was like $25,000 worth of value of books and authors and visits and all of that
Okay.
together. So yeah, it's pretty great.
Preschool been involved with the.
Preschool is part of the year of the book, so they get the donation, the giveaway books. They will participate in, like they did the Marty Kelly kickoff. So they'll come to some of the things, and then some that aren't appropriate. Like the Merrick Bennett is not appropriate because it's only for grades 3 through 6.
Got it.
So things that are appropriate, they're included in.
Perfect.
New schools made the newspaper,
Yes.
right?
Yep. They did a good job. So awesome. Well, I think it's great, and I think it's there's a lot of buzz from the last
Exciting.
event. So
I was here, I loved it. He was really a neat person to listen to, and it was
Cool.
awesome. Yeah, I loved it.
I was like, good things are happening. Anything else, Heather?
That's it.
Any questions for Heather? Moving on up. Heather.
I'm
Do
going to
you-
start on CESAU fund balance to
Right.
lead into the public hearing.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so that is on here because there's been some ups and downs, and we're back on the up on the SAU fund balance. But the very short version is I can't send checks back to the district. It will come back a different way. Highly encouraged to wait until audits are complete before that's done. So the public hearing, my recommendation is we hold the public hearing to expend the balance of the playground before we have to actually expend any money, and to satisfy that. And then the SAU fund balance is coming back. The attorney recommended we dot I's, cross T's, and termed it more as of an appropriation holiday.
Okay. In this world, they call everything a holiday.
It's interesting. Jen, you love the holidays.
Yes, I do.
So it amounts to exactly the same thing, but it's,
It's coming back and it's not a check cut back to the town. It's a refund put back in
it's revenue.
offset.
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 But at the end of the day, it will be in, so we can use it to,
It'll
Build
still
the
be
balance.
there, it's, yeah, this year.
and you're gonna talk us straight through that whole public hearing, right?
Coming up now?
Yes.
Here we are.
Nah, we're gonna wait. We'll let you finish out and then we'll go to it.
Okay.
'Cause questions for Heather about that, by the way. Okay.
Well, up until last Friday, I thought I was gonna say we weren't gonna be able to do it at all, so. A lot has changed. No, revenue report expenditure is still kind of rough. I know on expenditures, there are, a few POs I need to go back through and make sure that we have encumbered enough. But I did wanna point out, we're still at like a 500,000 balance, which I know it's only through September, so we should be.
Just moving it up, I could kill that at any time.
Oh, God. In a heartbeat.
But the final
Special
cost
ed.
on the HVAC project is in the alternate funding line, and that's in at 110. Where is that? 110, 572, 73. So that is the amount to come from the building capital reserve,
What was it, 110?
It's on
572,
top
73.
27,
It's
top
on
second
page
line down.
27, toward the
Oh,
top.
got it. Got it, on the top. Okay.
That's fine.
And I don't think anything else to point out in here.
Any questions on the expenditures? Yes.
Fuel oil? Do we have a number for fuel oil? Did we ever get a solid number? I know we gave them
Yes.
permission.
Yes.
Locked in, I think gosh, no, that's way back.
That's
I did it
it's
so
okay.
long ago, I didn't update anybody. I think it's 10 cents higher than last year,
All right, yeah,
or 5 cents, somewhere in there.
nice.
But I think June is definitely the month to do it in, and the earlier in June, the better, so I'm trying to keep that in mind for this coming year.
Awesome,
Okay.
Thank you, Heather.
thank you.
Expenditures, that's, we got revenues? Is there anything else on that? Or Heather, I think we skipped over revenues, went right to expenditures.
So, I think in Mike's memo, you did put in, they came out with the estimates for the special ed aid.
Yes.
And it is less than last year, so I'm hoping that those rough numbers go up. Because I think we had 580 last year, and our estimate came in at 440. And I think when I did the annual report, I had it around 540.
On that.
I know I will need to
I believe that's
revise
what
my
it
estimate CRA down if those hold, but there's still time.
I was just shocked to see how we fare with the other two districts.
Mhm.
So much higher in that line. for
Well, that is
special ed spending.
because
Of-
our special ed costs are so much higher.
Right, yeah, that was the line that was scary to me, was like, oh my God.
And I'd also say that I think the staff does an excellent job recording what they need to record and, putting things in place that,
No doubt, we had a couple of big
Yep.
out-of-district placements that were hitting us hard, so.
Okay. One more question.
Yes,
Just a,
Nope, you're gonna ask it, I'll ask it.
go ahead.
go ahead.
On page 27, the interest on the debt and principal, it's like 2/3 of the way down. That's from the bond, right?
That's from the bond.
Mold remediation
Yes.
or whatever.
Yes,
Oh.
when it's
Thank you.
under the building. The ones that were up higher, because I remember the budget, are Conway stuff. But yes, our school is down here.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, the Conway bonds are done
Done.
for,
Yeah.
yeah.
Last year was the last year.
Sorry, so tired.
Sorry to keep you up.
I mean, I know, and she's.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm just really tired, I don't know why.
All right, so I'm going to
Do my.
recess the school board meeting at 7:07 and open the public hearing. Notice was sent out on Monday, October 7th at 7 PM-ish. The school board will hold a public hearing to expend from the retained fund balance pursuant to RSA 198-4B. This public hearing will be held from Madison Elementary School at this location in the Ruth Chick Library. basically, we held a public hearing last month to expend from this fund, utilizing some of the monies coming back from the SAU, based on the fund balance that we had there from last year. But after some legal back and forth, the way that money's gonna come back is a little bit differently into our budget. So the question, what we need to do is just, I'm gonna have you answer.
Vote to expend from your retained fund balance the 64,850.22.
So the 64,850.22 that we were taking from the money that the SAU was giving back, we would need to take a vote from the board to take that out of the 2.5% reserve that we're holding back, to fund the remainder of the.
I will say my expectation is I will need to pay for the playground before audits are completed.
Right.
Got
And
it.
then
So
once the
moved.
audit
And then
happens-
once the audit happens, then money can be moved into that line, yes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by, no motion, sorry, we're still in public hearing.
No.
Then we'll come back out, sorry. Caught me off guard there. Any
Threw you
public
off.
concerns?
Janet?
Thank you,
Okay.
thank you.
Don't do the playground, is that what you said?
Oh.
Sarah, I was watching Sarah come over. All right, so at 7:09, I'm gonna close the public hearing.
I know where you live.
That's all right.
We're gonna leave it open for
Half an hour,
half hour.
The public hearing?
30 minutes
Legally?
legally.
Okay.
Well,
We
Guess
can
you shouldn't have
We can
continue
continue on,
on the board business.
if someone wants to speak to it.
So,
7:04, I believe.
so at 7:07, we went in, so at 7:37, I hope we're still here.
We will be.
We will be.
Will be now.
So if you have any comments, all of you people online, jump in your cars, drive really fast. All 8 of you out there, thank you.
2.
Whoa.
Come on down.
Chief Hayford's been informed of where he's parked, so don't speed too fast getting here. But the public hearing will be open till 7:27.
37.
7:37, thank you.
Math, Jim.
It's hard, okay?
I have projectiles now. All right, we're moving back in, so we will not take a vote till the end here. Superintendent's report.
Yes, so we had the SAU 9 and SAU 13 joint board meeting earlier in September. Some of those highlights included SAU 9 going over some of the work they're doing on their cell phone policy at Kennett High School, which they're looking to make things more restrictive to increase the learning environment over there. So they're trying out some new things. One of the books they're reading is Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt, that has a lot of that speaks a lot to some of the anxieties that the group of youth growing up that has grown up with cell phones so accessible, what that looks like. So they're looking to do some work there. They did share some of the staffing concerns that a lot of districts are dealing with right now. So they're working, how to make that work at the high school level and continue to have offerings that they need to have to function as a high school. There are great highlights about the CTE Center. Very great presentation that was shared about all the things that are going on. One of the things we did ask for is that can see how many students in our SAU 13 towns that are taking part in the CTE Center, who's taking part in some of these classes. That was a metric that one of our other districts was looking for, so that's something that we'll have just to showcase, hey, these are what our Madison kiddos are doing, what classes they're enrolled at, how many are taking advantage of the CTE Center. Because that is such a point that Conway points to, that this is a great facility, and I agree, and it'd be just interesting to know how many of our students are taking advantage of it as we look around for other school options.
Perfect.
And then the only other point that was pertinent, are the meeting itself, our famous SAU 9-13 joint board meeting. The idea was to move the meeting to an established another established meeting because attendance has been very low. So I think in total there were maybe 4 board members present from every single district. So Joyce Watson did represent SAU 13, but then there was many other districts even within SAU 9 that weren't represented. So we did try the idea of holding those meetings in different locations. Bartlett is a little bit off the beaten path, so I certainly understand why Attendance wasn't as high as it could have been, but the idea is that it will be attached to an SAU 9 joint board meeting. So that idea was floated out by Amy and Randy. So if the boards are agreeable, I've already ran this by Tamworth, but if the boards are agreeable, I will let Amy know. We can move that to an already established meeting where they'll have their SAU 9 folks already there, and we could attend. And it sounds like it would be part of the SAU 9 meeting. So I'm waiting to find out some more logistics on how that exactly would look like.
Which are always on Thursdays.
I am fine with that because it's not a committee in which I sit on, but I have gone to them in the past. But I would say I'm fine with that as to satisfy the current agreement we have with Conway that they have to hold that meeting. I would like, I think, as part of our board packet, I would like the written minutes of that meeting.
And it's
so
always
that-
on a Thursday, their meetings? Because that's a bummer for me, but I didn't go last time either, so.
But I think if they provide us with the written minutes of those meetings that pertain to the SAU 913 information, that works
Okay.
for me. Anybody else?
It's usually Thursdays, Mike, is that?
I think that's what Heather said. Is that is that Conway or SAU 9?
SU 9.
It is SAU 9?
Because Conway's on Mondays.
Okay. That may well be. And the conflict for SAU 13 would be the Tamworth
Tamworth.
board meeting.
Okay. Perfect.
I will.
Yeah, I mean,
kick
I
that
think
around.
that way there we get the information. And I don't know if do they live stream their meetings or not?
Nope.
We
We're
could
the
invite
only
Madison
lucky town.
TV over there, they'd go, I'm sure.
So will we know ahead of time when their meetings are?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so they usually send it out. We usually get notification.
Yes.
But I'll make sure I get those out.
Okay.
And the idea would be to have 2 more meetings because we already had the one in the fall,
Right.
so it would only be 2 others.
One in January-ish and one in
May.
May.
So I meet with Freedom next week. I'll get their pulse and then reach out to Amy to find logistics and make sure everyone's informed.
Okay. Any other?
Other than student performance and the SAU, no, everything's been going well here at the school. I think Heather and her team are doing a great job keeping this momentum going. And the only other thing I have from the SAU office is we have a new employee, Allison, who's our front desk secretary. So if you see her over there, please make her feel welcome when you swing over. She's been a great addition to the staff, supporting our business office and our special ed department, which were 2 needs that we know we really needed to bolster because all 3 of those ladies do a fantastic job, and having some more administrative support for them really helps them to stay organized and on top of things because they do so much.
Perfect. Any other questions for Mike? Moving on up. School board business. We have a bunch of policies here listed. I'm gonna save you all. I'm not reading all of the
I was gonna say,
policies.
you probably have time to read a few.
Wow. Let's go into non-public and make them sit in the hallway so you can cry.
I got an apple.
So I would like to do them as a first reading of basically all of the policies that you see here are Title IX related. Boilerplate from the state. They have been vetted by our policy committee, and Kathy from Tamworth, who is extremely detailed
Very.
in her wording, punctuation,
Grammatical, it's awesome.
everything. I've actually sent stuff to Kathy and said, can you correct this for me? Comes back looking a lot different, but the same context, but she does a great job with it, so. Anything from you 2 gentlemen related to this?
Nope, it's just, like you said, kind of boilerplate, but Kathy cleaned it up, made it pretty, and
All right,
professional.
so I will take a motion to approve the policies as a first reading. They will come back next month as a second reading adoption. Motion by Ed, second by Jeremy. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Carries. You do have 2 there are two jobs?
There are two
Okay.
job
Two job descriptions that are also related to said policies. I asked Mike before the meeting, so I'm gonna ask it publicly so everyone can hear what my question was, are these two new positions or job descriptions a new position that we have to hire for and budget for, or?
No, they are not. So these are also part of the Title IX regulations that the federal government has recently passed. So staying in compliance, which our attorneys have said, stay in compliance with this as its law. Those positions are the Title IX coordinator, which we currently had, and then the human rights officer. That it's all the same. It's all Lisa. So anything in the Title IX world, special ed world, it's all Lisa. So Lisa just gets some more alphabet soup next to her name.
Sweet. All right. So I will take the job descriptions as a first reading as well. Motion by Jeremy, second by Ed. I think I just did that backwards, but that's okay. You got it,
That's fine.
Janet? Any
Dyslexia
other
support.
discussion, questions, or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Carried. All right. FY '26 budget.
You skipped one.
Did I? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, SB 2 warrant article. That's the one I had to put on here.
Slow down, Jim, we have plenty of time.
Oh, that's right.
Had a lot of time.
So, what I was thinking.
Hmm.
We've been asked this question many times, back and forth, year after year. It's been on, it's been off. The last time it was on, it narrowly failed. But repealing SB 2 is one of the things that it's come to my
Why don't you
attention.
explain to us what SB 2 is?
I can do that.
Thank you.
So we are currently in SB 2 town, and Mike, stop me if I got anything wrong here. Basically, we do our budget. We have our budget and our default budget. We have our public hearing in January. We have our deliberative session in February. The deliberative session is the time when the community can come out and talk and make a change to our budget. So that's where somebody can come out and say, I want to cut the school budget by 10%. Done, conversations. If the majority of the room votes in favor of that, that's how it will go on the ballot in March. And then in March, you sit there and you walk into the ballot, you walk into the polls, go into your ballot booth and you put down yes or no. Yes signifies that the budget that was printed in there is what is passing. No signifies we're on the default budget. If we repeal SB 2, we eliminate the deliberative session meeting. We would have a public hearing, which the town could come and hear our budget and our budget concerns, and why we're proposing what we're proposing. Then we would have a town meeting style vote. So it would not be the same day as the town's one. It'd be probably an evening, midweek that week, because it has to be in the same time frame. But then we would present our budget, and someone could stand up and say, I want to reduce the budget by $3,000. And
They can only reduce a line, they can't reduce it overall, correct?
they can reduce the
Line
bottom line of the budget, I believe.
It's a bottom line budget.
Okay.
So the bottom.
I thought it was
We-
line items, no?
They could make they could ask whatever they want, but at the end of the day, the administration and the board has the ability to make those line decisions. It's the bottom line.
Oh, okay.
Unless it's a separate warrant. I mean, if it's a
Yeah.
Is
different.
this separate, is this different than a town meeting? Because I was not a resident here, but
Yep.
in a prior town, I made a motion and they told me it had to be a line,
Really?
not a specific
they-
property.
So I will just interrupt that I think has to do with moderator rules, because last year, the selectmen tried to change the moderator rules to say that.
Okay.
But then George said, nope, you need to, he's the one who creates the moderator rules. So that may be why.
Interesting.
Okay.
So we printed this past year, we printed the moderator rules in our annual report. When I had requested them, the selectmen had voted for something, but didn't realize they had to actually ask George to make that a rule. So that may show up as a rule for this coming year, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But that may be the difference is moderator rules.
Seems weird.
So voting to approve the bottom line that ends up at that meeting is, I make a motion to move it forward, I second it, that's what's on the floor. If nothing else changes, then the people that are sitting there in that room right then and there are the ones that raise their hands and vote.
Right.
And, you know, majority rules, and same with warrant articles. All of those could be changed on the floor, again, with the moderator rules, thank you for that.
And you vote right
terminology.
there with no ballot.
And you vote right there with no ballot.
Unless it's, you can't tell if it's yay or nay, and then it's ballot.
And there could be a
Right,
secret
but you
call
could
for
do a secret ballot right there that night.
Right, but if there's 200 people,
Right,
and you see half the,
And it's-
the moderator can't
the-
visually
Too
or
close, right?
audibly tell.
you can
Then
call,
it's
you can
secret.
call for, keep your hands up and we'll do a
X.
physical count, or.
So this SB 2 is a proposed warrant article?
So
Is that-
I think I would like for the board to put up repealing SB 2. So our town is not SB 2, but the school district is SB 2.
How did it become?
So back in, who was before me?
For me.
Okay, mid-90s sometime. The feeling was that there would be more say in going to SB 2. But then it feels like the deliberative session is less attended. You know, getting the attendance for that has dwindled over the years. You know, and the moderator and myself have had conversations about, you know, we'd like to get more people involved. So when it came up the last time, it was by petition. And what was interesting is when it came up by petition that year, it failed to repeal SB 2, and someone had also put a petition on the town's warrant article to go
change
to
it?
SB 2,
Oh, boy.
which also failed. So the same voters who sat in the same voting
Right.
booth voted to not repeal,
Hours, and give them the.
and,
Not putting
and,
that on the
and,
side.
right, so basically not change
Bizarre.
either way.
Right.
But I think the petition warrant article came so late, so I had said that this year I would like to put it up early so that people can hear about it.
And this would go in effect for next year.
This would go into effect for next year if it were to pass, because it would still have to go to the regular ballot this year to pass. There would still be things that would show up on a ballot, such as school board members, the
Officer, yes.
the officers, that stuff. And I think if there was any bond, that may go, there are some things that would still go on a ballot. But the budget itself
Would
and the
have
warrant
already
articles would go at that meeting. So,
And the meeting would be after the vote or before the vote?
before the vote.
Before the vote.
So it would be, it would probably be the Monday of that week of the voting. So it'd be Monday night, voting Tuesday, and then Saturday would be town meeting. It's all prescribed by the state as to
Right.
when you have, what window you have to hold it within. It would also change our budget cycle a little bit, because we wouldn't have to start
You start
a month, we could start a month later.
Because you have one less.
Right, we wouldn't have to have the January public hearing, because that would be in February.
I think it's good, yeah.
And that would require a 60%.
2/3 vote. Yes, so,
66%.
yes, and I think maybe that was the kicker for the other, it requires 2/3 vote. If you can just verify that for me, Heather, and me.
So and then at the SAU level, that would still be on the ballot, right?
The SAU would still be by hand, because that's how it is in the other two towns right now.
Okay.
Mike and I were talking about this, trying to figure that out, but they are still by hand now. So they're at town meeting, but you cannot,
So
the
everything would have
numbers
to be
cannot change in that.
Right, but everything would have to be hand counted then, because it's a 3-town.
Yes. Yes, so we'd have to get,
You have to hand count everything.
okay, all those in favor, aye, and the moderator would physically hand count everybody, all those nay, because then it's a cumulative of all 3 towns.
Okay.
Yes. Any other thoughts or concerns about that? Hopefully I've given you enough.
What do you think about it? Should I not have asked?
Yeah, it's interesting because I get to see the results from all 3 districts.
Right,
And Madison has a big turnout at the ballots.
yeah,
But what they're voting on has been decided on or potentially adjusted by a very few.
Right.
Far fewer than at the annual meetings for
Right.
Freedom or Tamworth.
right. Okay.
So And I think it's almost better to get out in one room
Right,
and get things worked out than to,
two different,
yeah.
Because it allows you the conversation
yeah,
about, yes, I have a full-time music teacher. Well, why do you have a full-time music teacher? Well, here's why.
right,
So before you all vote,
this is why we.
Here's
have
why.
this, Right.
not, okay, I did that at the deliberative session, but
Right,
then
and next,
2 months
200
later.
people
Right.
that didn't
you can
come to the
go.
deliberative, didn't listen to the public hearing,
Right.
haven't watched the school board meeting, go vote and say,
They don't need that,
I don't want that.
right,
You know, no. So,
yeah, okay,
I'm
I'm
Always a
into
smaller
it.
number.
yes.
I'm into it.
So I guess my only question would be, if we have contractually obligated things, those, if we go back to a regular meeting.
Town meeting,
Right,
so, yeah.
say our bus contract is, we've signed a bus contract for X number of dollars.
Mhm.
Are we legally obligated, we're not allowed to change that, I guess? Those
There are
type of
certain
things.
it's the bottom
contractual
line.
pieces like, you know,
Right.
what it costs to, you know, heat the
Conway-
school. you
Conway's
know,
number,
right.
whatever that number
Right.
is.
Right.
We wouldn't be able to adjust that, or we would have to, the voters decided, we want, we want a budget of
So
$6 million dollars.
So that
and
comes
it's on the
back
school
to like
figure
it
it out.
impacts here.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
that's kind of
Line
like what
items,
Croydon went to
Right.
with last year.
Right.
You know, so
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, in the end, it's the only, when you make a budget cut, it only impacts here.
Yeah.
Whether they do it one way or the other, right. 'Cause
Right,
right
'cause
now,
you
if they
know
say,
that they can't cut that.
if they say at the deliberative session, cut their budget by $1 million,
Right.
and there's enough people in the room and that passes, we have to cut $1 million out
It's
of
up to us.
our Madison Elementary
Right.
School budget.
Right.
Can't affect the high school, middle school contracts, anything like that that we have in play. So we have to find, and generally that equals staff. which
And
is-
federal obligations.
Correct.
So you can't touch that.
Right.
so.
Yep.
So Jim, you're thinking as far as that the board would sponsor this
Sponsor
warrant,
that
that
warrant
warrant
article.
article? So it would be
So
the
we-
budget, the CBA, and any of the reserve funds, and the SB2.
Yep.
Okay.
Do we have to make a motion to put it on?
We can, make it legal, make it legit. So I'll take a motion to add a warrant article for this year's warrant to repeal SB2. Motion by Jeremy, second by Sherry. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? And moderator Epstein, if you're watching this, if I misspoke in any way, shape, or form, please text me, call me, or email me. Thank you.
Send me a letter.
Carrier pigeon. wire.
Right.
Carrier pigeon. I don't have any. They don't come to my house anymore.
Did you eat 'em?
You
Yes.
wanted to make a motion of participation remotely.
Yes.
I couldn't find a policy on that.
Thank you. We
Don't know if
did
it's
it
a
in
policy
2020.
or-
So
Good luck. finding a
Um,
policy.
Jeremy's going to be leaving for a little while, active duty. So there's always discussion, especially when you start a meeting, and do we allow remote? We have allowed remote access to our meetings. I just thought it'd be better if we brought it up here with everybody, and I think we should allow Jeremy, as he has accessibility and availability, if he wishes to be able to join remotely. I would like the board to sanction that tonight so that we don't have to go through that. We can mention this at the beginning of the meetings and move forward.
Should we look at a possible, some sort of policy, Mike?
Yeah.
Did you see if the,
I thought we had
I
done
believe
it
you do.
during
Well, and I think
COVID.
you're covered under the RSA. There's electronic emails, communications,
Yes.
remote participation.
Yeah, that's-
RSA 91-1, 91-A:3, Section 3.
It would be under board, and I believe you do, yeah.
Participation.
I'm just looking at this one to get the right number. I believe,
we've
and
done
I will check this, but you
Yeah.
need to have a quorum in person,
Yes.
is one of the
Okay.
stipulations to that, and the board has to vote at the meeting to allow that board member to participate
So at the
remotely.
beginning of every meeting, we could do that. And then if we could allow non-public as well, as long as you were just in a
Secure
non-public
place.
secure
Non-public,
place.
Sure.
So, does anybody have any objections to that?
Do you need a motion or just a?
No, I think just a nod is good, and then we will have that in front of us.
Yep.
And just let somebody know if you're available. We'll make sure we get the link to you and all that. We'll get you on the big screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there are a couple questions as the board chair, Jim, you just have to ask when, going into non-public that no one else is in the room.
Yep.
Where are you? There's certain,
Yep.
questions that we'll make sure you're
A
able to.
printout of that
You
would
got
be
it.
greatly appreciated. All right, and Godspeed.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right, we're moving into the FY 26 budget version 1. So it was presented in your board packet.
The notes are not accurate. I did not wipe them or edit them. I just edited the amounts.
Okay, so there are no raises or changes here per the collective bargaining agreement because the current year is the last year of the currently approved collective bargaining agreement. The negotiations are basically wrapped up. So we're working on finalization for next year, but anything that is collectively bargain related will be in a separate warrant article with the first year as the to raise and appropriate on a warrant.
So, Mr. Epstein.
No, it's not. So, with that being said, go through.
Yeah, I did use I used 10% as an inflation factor for health insurance.
Okay. So 10%.
And I did put in the non-CBA kind of as placeholders based on the policy that the board has for non-CBA personnel. And I did put increases in there.
Okay.
And then, do you want to go page by page
I got
or
a question.
Yep. Go ahead.
On page 6 or 136 of this.
130 what?
136.
The special ed health insurance went way up. Is there just somebody changing plans? It's like 2/3 of halfway down. Goes up like 26%.
That's, sped teachers.
Is that the other district?
No.
Health
it's
insurance, special ed
teachers.
teachers. Is that just a change in staff?
Or a change in status.
Right.
Yeah, a change in census, I think. Is that up? Oh, I may, because there's an open position, I always
Assume the worst.
budget family. I assume the worst, and
Okay.
if we
Hope
know
for the best.
before
Yeah, I
budgets
just
are
saw that. I'm like,
finalized.
whoa, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's based on an empty.
And I have a question too. The names, the personnel, are they current for that?
No. No.
Okay.
I will wipe the notes for next round, or at least make them make more sense.
And my page 7, my only concern is dropping that line down so much for special ed in general out of district.
The out-of-district tuition.
Yeah. I understand it.
Right.
That's a low number, and that scares me.
I think based on today's conversations and last week's, that is too low, and it's gonna go back up.
Okay. I mean, I like it. It's great.
And it's not
Yeah.
unrealistic either, like,
Right.
even the other districts in SAU 13, but that's not Madison's historical experience.
Okay. So while we're here, where do we budget preschool? Is that in that out-of-district
Where we
line?
budget what?
Preschool. Contracted service or out-of-district?
Out of district, true.
Out of
Yeah.
district typically, and contracted
Yeah.
services, a little bit of both.
Got it. So have we adjusted those?
I have not, it's
Okay.
so early, I'm honestly trying to get through audit, and then it'll be more detailed budget.
Okay. All right. Because I think, preschool passed. Looks like it's going to continue. Right, Mike?
Absolutely.
But preschool's passed, so we need to make sure that we know where we were doubling last year to make sure that if things pass, we take care of.
And that's where some of those out of district funds were part of too that we were talking about.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it was.
Heather,
That's what
staffing.
Yeah.
Because that one. having-
Which Heather?
Um,
Okay.
Heather on the end.
Mm-hmm.
Staffing, with enrollment, how we looking there? Based on what we look like for class sizes? and-
Pretty consistent.
We won't have a change for next year.
Okay,
But after next year, unless we get an influx of kids, we have a bubble in it's currently 5th grade that's at 26 kids.
okay.
So once that bubble goes, we're probably reducing a teacher unless we get more of an influx of students.
In some area. Okay, all right. Anyone else look through, have questions, or we can go section by section, or however you prefer to see it? Did you-
My only, so we did a line in here specific for the playground. I can't remember where it was. I just didn't know if it was
Oh,
like-
under the building, so it's gonna be towards the,
27,
Yeah.
yeah.
I didn't know if it's still in here for $1, just so we keep it, or we're gonna keep it at that same number type thing.
So by the way, phase 2,
face what?
there's a phase 2 to the playground.
I had taken
That's,
it out.
that's
There
the
is.
little corner area over here. Sorry, I was not aware until after last meeting.
Is there face?
Like where the fire truck is. And so there,
Please,
Is there a
please
phase
grab
two,
your
sir?
apples, your projectiles.
so phase 2 was intended to be a playground that can then be accessible for children with disabilities. So it'd be an adaptive playground. So in
Play
hoping,
on my heartstrings now.
sorry. So in hoping to have a more inclusive environment, and so that was the goal of that, and looking for grant money that would help cover the cost for that. So that's why it wasn't put out there, but we did get a quote because the guy was here to, hey, he'll deliver the first couple of weeks of November and it'll be installed. So he was here, so we asked him to kind of put something together, and it is looking like $80,000 for that, just so you know, as you have a little placeholder. But
Can,
It's a big space.
What?
can we reach out to, I know we've
Lots of bake sales.
yes,
talked to.
well, there's lots of grants
Grant
available,
writers.
especially for adaptive playgrounds.
Yes.
So there are lots of grants available, so that's what we are looking at.
Okay.
But sometimes they're matching grants, so we just ponder
Got
that.
it. Okay.
So that line's just in here for the same amount then?
I think Heather
I
had said she had
reduced
zeroed
it, but
it.
I can put it back in.
Well, I know, I didn't know which line it was, so.
It's on page 147.
I only have to ask because I don't
It's
know.
building refurbishment.
Gotcha.
What
Okay.
constitutes an adaptive playground? I mean,
So that way it's handicap accessible.
Okay,
So
but-
a wheelchair, so have a ramp so the wheelchair can access it, and just whatever else they may have
Certain
for
swings.
physical.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I just,
It's a fair question.
They're actually really cool.
They are cool. It's important.
But that way they can play with their peers,
Yeah.
so.
no, I
Again,
agree.
play on my heartstrings. So, yes, if we could, right, we had 50,000 in that line?
Yep.
Thought on a number for that line?
How about 40?
I,
And assume a matching grant
yeah,
for now.
Okay,
Can always change it.
yep, I'm okay with that. And,
Can't have everything all at
How
once.
about 50?
how about 20?
Wow.
How about 60?
I'd go with the 40 and call it a day.
I
you
think,
would,
yes,
Jeremy.
I think we'll set it at 40 for now.
Okay, all right, just, that's
But-
very reasonable,
but-
so I'll go with it.
Well, and Ed's rationale is if
No,
we
yes,
can get
he's
matching
right, I
grant,
know, right, he's, I know.
40 plus
That's
40
very
is
reasonable.
what?
Yeah, Ed's very reasonable, I'll go with it.
No, math's hard.
For me it is. Okay, so let's go back into 40 for that, please.
Thank
Oh,
you.
we can go out of,
What's that?
we're past our time to.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
We can close the public hearing.
anybody running through the door? Seeing none, seeing none, seeing none. At 7:42, I will close the public hearing.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you,
I love a timekeeper.
That was-
All right,
Do you have to have a motion to close, or you just close it?
nope, just close it. Anything else transportation-wise? We have one more year with,
One more year on our old budget that Butler assumed,
yeah,
so.
so we should look at, so starting sometime this year, we should start putting that back out for bid. May, June,
Yeah,
for the following
yeah,
school year.
yeah.
So that we can budget for it. Okay. I think I have some of this stuff.
I do too.
Oh,
Page 146.
146.
Is that right after 145?
It is.
It's before 147, actually.
You guys
Is
are so
it-
good.
The second and third lines, are we, the third line specifically, there's no way the health insurance is right. Can't be 40 grand for one person.
It is. That's the employer's share.
For
We're
one-
set at 89% is the employer, 11% is the
$6,000.
employee.
It's cost for family plan.
Mm-hmm.
And that was factoring a 10% increase.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that health insurance is almost as much as the wage.
Yes.
That's disgusting.
It
Yes.
is.
I will say Freedom has asked that I get some census information and look at other plans. And I will do the same for Madison.
I'll give you the thing that Joe put together for the town. It's
And I know
interesting
our
stuff.
CBA references our plan or equivalent, so anything that we wanna, if there's something we wanna move forward on, we would have to talk to the association as well.
It's just barking for employee.
Right, but we choose one plan, and it goes bargain and non-bargain. So the same plan is out there for everybody,
Gotcha.
and the
That's-
non usually pay about the same apportionment as the CBA, as the collectively bargained for. But yes,
Actually, they mentioned
the cost of a family
Obnoxiously
plan is
high.
absolutely crazy, yes. And I think that's, and that's one thing Joe has said in the, because I
He
watched
has
the
some
last,
notes. I'll share them
budget
with
committee
you
meeting
guys.
is that
It's pretty good.
the one thing that keeps going up and up and up, and eventually, we're gonna get to the point where
You're paying more for insurance.
pay more for
the
insurance.
Then you
employees.
pay
If,
for
if
the-
you look at
right.
a good portion of our hourly employees, the benefits outweigh the salary.
Mm-hmm. Certainly does. Just like that in a lot of places too.
Yeah. And to some extent, it's sad that the cost of healthcare has gone up so much money.
It's more about profit, but yes.
Yes, understandable, because, right,
On that same thing, building repairs is at 50,000 again. Are you good with that number, Heather? Because I know we
Thanks.
ran into a couple of things.
At this point, I think so.
I think we bumped it up to that this year.
Yeah, so it's a little bit early to tell.
Right,
but
yeah.
Don't drink
And
that
we-
Well, but I know we're gonna
Last
ask for
year.
some equipment. Ken and I have been looking at what we currently have for equipment, the status of it, and there are 3 things. And
so like cleaning type equipment stuff?
yeah, a wet vac, but not like what we think of like a shop vac, but a wet vac. And we're going to need a new snow blower. The one we have is going to get us through this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yep.
It's
But
pretty, it's pretty yo.
and there was one more. I know there was 3 things on our list, so he was getting updated prices for that. So we'll have a number for the budget. But yeah, the custodians and I met last February to kind of go over what they have for equipment, what they would like, what would make their jobs easier, or what's, hey, this is dying and we need to take care of it. So we have a priority list going for things.
Okay.
All right, and I did notice the building equipment line went up,
Right.
but that's factoring
Some
security.
Cameras, which I put half of them in. We could do
Yep,
2. We could defer them. There's some.
right, but we had talked about that at the CIP
And there may
as
be,
well.
there may be another round of SAFE grant money coming in too that we'll could apply for, so we'll see.
Okay,
We should be pretty high up on that priority
I would
list
think
because
so.
we have not received any yet.
yep. Interest on debt. Right now.
What are you 2 whispering about over there?
I just
Yeah,
asked,
no, yeah, we're
confirm.
gonna change that.
Yeah. So on page 150,
Okay, what'd you put it to? Put it up to
Right. So, the
60,
wages, food service
68.
from,
Well, and the new person too.
I was gonna say, now that we've
Right.
hired that, I think they need to go back and rework,
Yeah, this will have to be,
because
let me
that's,
see, can I
depending on what they
tentatively
select,
put like
yeah, it's
70?
higher.
yep.
Can I
So-
tentatively move it to like 70?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will only move it higher if I think we need to, based on,
Right, but
What does he
that's,
come through?
that's moving the food service director up.
Yep.
Okay.
Janet, you're so good, just.
Sit back and
Just
take notes
type,
tonight.
Janet.
You're only allowed to type tonight.
Just, you're so
No
good.
public comment.
Um,
Don't ever forget it.
So, after, for the public, after some discussion, looking at where our food service director is in play with relative to other towns in the area and the same job position and title, number of years, amount of, we feel that the food service director needs a substantial bump in pay to get to a position where they're equal to their peers.
Mhm.
So I hope I reflected that correctly. So, and that is a non-bargain for employee, so the board makes that decision. And I'd rather do it early than try to throw it in November, December, just before we're closing things up.
And that's a recommendation also from the administration. I will share that as well, that we were looking through some pieces to right size, and we very much in favor of that.
Okay. Other things, equipment in the kitchen, anything needed there? We have level funded just at $1,000. Any new equipment in the works? Like a big, huge griddle? That's what Jim
Janet?
wants. That's what Jim wants, but Jim doesn't cook
Right,
in
is
there.
there anything?
I think a new reach-in is kind of in the,
It would be good.
the one, it's
A new
not
reach-in?
somewhere around $9,000-$10,000.
So just a reminder though, we haven't actually done our recommendations, so like you're asking questions, but this is still just version one, this is just
This is still
baseline.
last year's
So
with.
this is,
Got
this
it.
doesn't include any of our recommendations, cause I just asked our staff for budget stuff
Okay.
this past week,
Then I'm not
so,
putting anybody on the spot tonight,
so we haven't had that discussion, so, yeah.
other than you three.
Other than
Three was
other
it.
than that issue.
You
we
don't,
did
you
that.
don't get out. But, any other vegetable grants?
Janet, there is a fresh fruits and vegetable grant, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
See, thanks, Janet. I appreciate you. You supported me.
Any other,
And I can help middle and high tuition go down, but
but that's a guesstimated number only. Last year,
it went up, well, no.
One went
it's
down,
a
one went
little.
up.
the high school went down, the middle school went up, I think, last year.
Something.
So, right, and that's the one thing that is so hard, is that we get there and that comes the end of November. So just in time for our December board meeting to say, oh, guess what? We've done so well, we're 100,000 down or 200,000 up or wherever we're at. And whatever that number falls at is where we're at. So, anything.
I will say
that-
there's some townwide reevaluations going on that's not Madison, so
Right.
it could help.
Oh, okay.
Madison could be, yeah, good shape this year.
Anything else that people would like to see in or out for next round of the budget? Anything? Go ahead.
A computer lab.
A computer lab.
We have
So-
a big space over there that is not really used, and our kids really need to learn to type.
There
So-
are the computers over there, correct?
Nope, the computers are gone,
They are, right, they were removed.
because all students are one-to-one with Chromebooks in
Okay.
grades 3 through 6.
So they have their own.
So they bring
Chromebooks
those
are-
to,
Just small computers.
right.
Okay, they're not, they're not, it's,
So
they're
just
not
have a-
tablets.
They just have a browser, right, so they have a
Got
it.
keyboard
So
and all that,
Okay,
so.
but I think goes back to the conversation before, some type of typing program to.
Right.
Yes.
Right,
and
it's just a matter
mechanical
of-
keyboards.
It's just a matter of,
Oh.
it's not gonna happen during a media class, because that's once a week. So, I mean, they do it, but they're not gonna get mastery in it, it's gonna have to be part of the classroom instruction. So it is on my radar, I have not forgotten, I have notes, but So to answer your question, like a computer lab's not gonna solve that problem, because it has to be something that they're doing daily, like morning work. You know, open your computers
But
up, do
can
your
we-
I
typing
think we
program
could
for
probably
5 to 10
find a way to
minutes,
fit that
kind of
in,
thing.
though.
Hmm?
Some.
Yeah,
I didn't hear what you said.
I think we could find a way to fit that in. I mean.
Oh, I agree, but what I'm saying is it's gonna happen in the classroom, not in a computer lab.
Right.
I think we can embed it, but also, I mean, I also like Sherry's idea of like doing something like a makerspace or some sort of computer, you know. So I'm happy to look into that. I
We
don't.
would have to get keyboards though, that we're not, right?
No.
Like
What are you talking about?
You could do it on a laptop.
You can do
laptop,
Yeah.
fine,
There might be a subscription cost to
You
a
want
typing
typewriters,
program.
Jim? Like, what year is this here?
I would love that.
No, but kids would learn a lot better, especially in these grades, on
The
A
keyboard.
full
Right, of
number
course,
yeah.
pad,
Typing.
keyboard. Which,
Except
that-
that's not what they're using though when they go to the middle school and high school.
I know.
So there's
I'm
that
just saying
piece there
there's
of,
that
like-
advantage though to. I
To
mean,
the-
not
Eventually, they will be using
Yeah,
this,
eventually
right.
they'll.
I think
be-
we're talking about fluency with the keyboard.
Right.
So I mean, right? I mean, that
let's find
we
a way
can
to
we can talk to
integrate.
some experts that we
Yep.
need to
Yeah.
figure that out. But
They use
budget wise, then we do need to budget for some sort of program or software.
Okay,
So why is it different?
so let's figure that in, some type of software of some sort.
Positioning of your.
Okay.
I don't know how to type.
Other things, Sarah, on meeting?
Excuse me. Forgive me.
No.
We got one thing at the bottom.
What's that?
We got this one thing at the bottom.
Did we, I don't wanna interrupt, but,
Yes.
Please do.
did we already, vote to expend funds or not?
No.
No,
No.
from the public hearing.
We gotta go back, we just closed the public hearing.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
So budget-wise, we're good, we're moving
Yep.
to next month, next round. Jeremy,
Sir,
I need a motion to expend $64,850.22 from the 2.5% set-aside fund.
what does that leave the balance at? I
70,
I knew it, but I couldn't find it tonight.
like 70,000.
Yeah, I thought it was right around there, 68 or something.
Look and see if it's in the minutes, because it might be.
Okay,
Because we expended 50 out of it last meeting.
right, it was 50, 60, and then 50 that
Yeah.
came from the budget.
That's where I got confused. I was like,
Yes, there
It's
were
about
three, there were multiple funding sources.
yeah.
And You don't have last month's board packet, right?
I wanna say it was
I
about
have-
74-ish, no?
Good idea.
Yeah, it's right around 70. It was 156.
Would be the,
175.
fund, the reserve fund balance.
It should be in our minutes that we just approved.
Find it?
Fund balance.
I was gonna say, I
I
don't
had the whole thing written out.
Right here.
Wanted to allocate 110.
already.
The fund balance, the set
2.5.
aside was, where is it, 164,389.40, and the playground was just about 107.
Yep, it's right here.
Allocate up to 110 for playground to come
Thanks,
from
Janet.
2.5 set aside.
What?
Go back to where the playground is.
You wanna know how much to take out of it?
Yeah.
So roughly 60,
The motion was for 110 for the playground to come out of the 2.5 set aside.
No, but we took out 50 in the last meeting.
It was 156
Sorry, 50
total.
in there.
All right.
So.
right, 156 total, so 106 was coming, but then we were taking 64 from the SAU.
Yeah, 107, 172-ish.
If using 62 equals 42 this,
I have 57,
so
217.
57 left,
yeah.
so it would leave us with 57,217, Jeremy. Is that good?
Yeah, motion.
Motion by Jeremy, second.
How much is the motion for, Betsy?
The motion is for
Thank
$64,850.22.
you. $50.22?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So motion by Jeremy, second by Sarah. Any other discussion? Seeing none, what did I say?
You said Sarah. But
I did
Oh.
it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, all right.
Either way, we don't care.
I just wanted to make sure I didn't have some other names that I threw out there. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Carries. All right, Madison Corner Schoolhouse uses. So the Madison Corner Schoolhouse Committee has been talking. They are having a meeting on the 15th, I believe now, looking for some other interested parties to help with the process as it moves forward, where to go, what to do. But one of the big things that keeps coming up as a question is, what is the building to be used for? The town really doesn't need another meeting space. You know, we have plenty of room in the school, the town hall, the fire station. You know, you start adding all those up, it doesn't make sense for that. So one of the things that came up at one of the meetings was, well, geez, some type of educational facility, maybe based around rec, but not just rec, but more of like a, I threw this term out to you when we set the agenda. Does anybody remember what I used? That's what they used. It was more of a community enrichment center. So rec could use it for, say, summer school, summer enrichment program, summer
Yeah.
camp.
Rec.
Thank you. Too many of the same type of words in there. But before I went back and said to them, yeah, you know, that seems like a good idea. I wanted to run it by the board to see.
Did they want to move it over to Parkfield or?
I can offer to,
No, they don't. I actually, they met with us a couple of weeks ago. Tammy and Nancy did. And,
Yep.
Their thoughts around it's great, and really what they need is a lot of support because there are grants available, but they have to have like a use case. They can't just apply for a grant without like a specific.
correct.
So it could be things like teaching knitting in there. It could be chess club. There's so many things that they can do in that building, and the rec could do. But they just need more support from people in town.
Right.
Is the Historical Society involved?
Nancy is on the
Yeah.
Historical Society,
Okay.
Nancy Martin.
Yeah.
And yes, they are involved. I mean, it's gone from, so where we've gone as a committee is more from historical restoration
Yeah.
to preservation.
Yeah.
You know, get rid of the lead problems, get rid of this, get rid of that, you know, make it functional and usable for people to be able to go in. But the talk was about, you know, usage-wise, yeah, so let's use it as an enrichment center, you know, so yes, the rec department could use it for summer camp.
Oh, place to store the generator.
Yeah, no, it's not a storage facility. Let's move it
Yeah,
before
that's
we
the
store.
one thing we said we didn't want was any more storage.
Any more
No, I
storage
mean the
units.
generator.
There's enough
But,
storage.
you know,
generator in there.
it wouldn't be an office space, it wouldn't be any of that,
No.
but it would be more of, like Sherry was saying, is they were talking about, you know, knitting, you know, kids learn to knit, learn to sew, you know.
They have that at the library.
Things like that
Yeah.
are available, with a nice space to be able to use it in it. But then it could also be for not just kids, but the seniors.
Yeah.
You know.
A lot of
so-
it was based around the seniors.
You know, I know a couple of years ago, Janet had somebody come in and do crock pot cooking or something like that. So it could be used as not utilizing the school building itself, but utilizing the building out here for something like that. So it was really would the board be willing to, if that's where the committee ended up, saying, yes, we could do some type of a lease agreement with the recreation department for that type of service use of that building.
My only apprehension is doing it during school times.
Right.
That was one thing we said wouldn't happen though.
Right, but we just have to.
But it'd
document
have to
that.
be documented in there that, yes, if
Yep.
at any point in time it inhibited the school use.
My thing is parking. Like
Yeah.
this preschool now, it's very
We already
busy in the
have, and
morning.
that parking lot is gets pretty full.
Parking, student safety, having,
Right.
yeah, I think all those things are
Yep.
important
So
to
as
take
long
note
as-
of.
That's
Park at
what
the
we
town
talked
garage
about
more.
too, with student
That's right.
safety and have, who's coming. We can't have people coming and going.
Right.
You know, this is a lot is being driven from, you know, like Tammy and Nancy wanting to engage more seniors and
Yep.
get more things going. And I think the thought behind having it all looking good and available, especially during the school day, if there was a reason that the school did want to use it, you know, like it would be there.
Right, it's like the old historical days
Yeah.
that Nancy Spalding used to do. So things like that, but be able to use it, but have multi-purposes for it. But it'd be a community enrichment center. So education would be the key behind it, because it's a schoolhouse building.
Mhm.
As long as the board is okay with that thought as we move forward, and then when we get closer, if we need some type of an agreement.
I still
MOU
like the
between
idea
two.
of moving it to Brookfield. Just saying.
I'm not.
Because there's a lot of parking over there. I mean, no.
Yeah, I think the
We need
cost
the
to the.
buy-in of the town, but I
We-
don't think that's gonna happen.
No, but we can put it out there as a thought, and I'll bring it up to Nancy and Tammy.
Cause
As,
yeah, that would be awesome
You know,
if we could get the
moved
buy-in.
it up to Burkefield, and then it would become a town
Right.
building.
Just put it on a slab or dig a foundation.
You could, it's all sand up there, you put a foundation.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So, I'll bring that up. I'm not opposed to it.
I mean, it's a cool building.
Just don't want to knock it down.
No,
No,
you
it's
could lift
cool.
it off and take it up there fairly easy.
Right.
Bunch of people.
Right.
No?
Get some horses and.
Do it the old way?
You weren't here when they moved the town hall, were you?
It was
I was
just
here.
before me.
That was
I
pretty
watched that.
cool.
That's pretty cool.
Because they moved that right down the road here, right?
Yeah, they drove it right down the road from basically where Chick's Lumber used to
There was
be.
a
Cool.
there was a certain
Oh.
couple about 32 years ago that had their wedding reception in the town hall.
They must be old now.
Oh, they're
Ancient.
ancient.
They got to be in their 50s or something.
Yeah, close to it.
Almost 50.
No, some of them are there.
50's not old.
I know.
I'm not there yet, but
I am.
it's not.
There's many
still
people
not
in this
old.
room that are.
All right, moving on.
All right, so that's good.
Motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Second?
8:05, motion to adjourn. I have a motion and a second. Any other business before the board before I accept that? All in favor? We're out. 8:05.
Oh wait,
Eat our apples.
what about photos
Oh!
for the
wait.
apples?
Oh, you. In the meeting.
Power back up.
No, we don't have to. do
Yes,
it.
no.
No, we can't do it on camera.
Yes, that's part
You're
of
supposed to take a picture of
Heather,
it.
did you need
So Janet's gonna take a picture
I just
too.
have envelopes before you go.
Okay.
There's mine in unmarked bills.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're live.
All right, Janet, you want to talk?
Me?
Go 1, 2, 3. What are we
I
doing?
am really looking forward to you guys supporting Apple Crunch Day.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3, or oh.
I already ate mine.
It's already gone.
Okay. Oh.
Okay, hopefully I got some good ones.
This is delicious. Thank you, Janet.
Thank
picked
you.
the right
That was perfect. There was a really
Whore's the
funny
pie?
little sound there.
For you.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that one.
Oh, wait, so slow.
I heard like a fart noise.
Is that fun audit letter? Yes, it
Sign
is. Everybody's seen
Just
one of
so you
these
know.
except